Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, joining you at 8 a.m. every morning. Hope you're doing good, hope you're doing well and enjoying the start of what will hopefully be another brilliant week of Arsenal. Lots of news to talk about, lots of things to discuss and lots of transfers to get into. This won't be your only show of the day. We're going to be doing another one this afternoon as well. Lots more discussion to be had, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't done so already and dropped a like on the video as well. Let's say good morning to everybody joining us in the chat box. Schooner Legend, good morning to you. Matt G, good morning. ACS, good morning to you. Harvey, Jack White, Manu. Des, good morning. Brad, Simon, Olu, Sartvik, Mike. Hope you're doing all good and well. Tulip TB, Stevie, Bradley, Rob, Anthony, Inga. Hope you're doing good, guys. Dave, Adam, Steve, Black Shine, Tony, Big O and Canoe. Good morning to everybody joining us today. Hope you are all having a fantastic start to the week and that everything's treating you well in the world because, you know, got to stay positive while we can. Let's get on with things, though, and tell you, as always, to go and subscribe to The Arsenal Way. We hit 11,000 subscribers over there, so thank you ever so much for everyone that's helped support the channel. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in and supporting what's been going on over there. But thank you for the continued support. We kick off by telling you to go check out an article that went out this morning of all the 10 strikers, and there's been more than 10 that have been linked to Arsenal. I had the task of sitting down and ranking them from 1 to 10 in terms of who I think would be the best options for Arsenal. Link to my page is in the description at football.london always, so make sure you give that a read and let me know how you see the top 10 ranking list and where you would rank the 10 strikers that are in the list of players that we could sign this summer. And a massive thank you, as always, to the really kind comments that get left on the channel. The chat I had with James a couple of days ago got some really, really positive feedback. A lot of you want to see James come back onto the channel, and I can assure you that certainly will happen. But thank you to Jack and to Kagi's Threads, Rob, Fell, Tane, Giancarlo and Paul. Thank you for your really kind comments, and everyone else that did leave some really nice things on the video as well. We kick off, though, with Thomas Partey putting up yet another video of him working through his rehabilitation and getting back to full fitness. There are rumours circulating that he is ahead of schedule, though that is yet to be confirmed officially, and Mikel Arteta will surely be asked about this on Thursday or Friday. I think the press conference is on Friday, to be fair. I'm sure he'll be asked about his recovery and whether or not he could be ahead of schedule and ready to return before the end of the season. 17 days, just less than that, between now and the North London derby. It would take a monumental effort for Partey to be available, and we all know what happened when we rushed him back for a North London derby in the past. So perhaps not the best idea, but we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully he can return as soon as feasibly possible. He needs a pre-season, that's for sure. Now, William Saliba is in talks with the president of Marseille, Pablo Longoria, who has been wanting to keep Saliba until next season. Although that being said, Arsenal's intention remains for him to stay, despite reports coming out from Football Insider that claims that Arsenal would be open to selling. As far as I'm aware, that is not the case. Arsenal don't have an intention of selling Saliba at the moment, depending on how he returns and what conversations I had when he comes back. That could, of course, change, but no discussions have yet taken place. So there is no, in my view and in my understanding, no truth in reports that Arsenal are considering selling Saliba at this point in time. So I would certainly take those reports with a grain of salt. Moving on to Nicolas Pepe, however, there is certainly truth in reports regarding his possible exit from Arsenal in the near future. We all know that Arsenal are targeting a couple of forwards and have been linked to a number of wide forwards, including the likes of Cody Gakpo and Noah Lang. Sinistera has also been linked from Feyenoord ever so recently too, showing that Arsenal seriously have an interest in bringing in a new wide player. Gabriel Jesus, who we'll talk a little bit more about in a second, can also play on the right-hand side, which makes Nicolas Pepe's position in the team even less likely as well. What Arsenal would be expecting is to take a massive hit on what they invested in Nicolas Pepe all the way back in 2019. That's almost a given at this stage, but how much Arsenal will get for him, we don't quite know yet. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with him this summer. Well, that being said, there was a couple of inquiries from Lyon and from Marseille in January, but nothing came of them. Ruben Neves has been linked with Arsenal once again, and not only Ruben Neves, but also Yuri Tielemans. According to David Ornstein, Arsenal remain very interested in signing a central midfielder and have admiration for both the Wolves and Leicester City central mids. those players in particular, from my view, would they start over Granit Xhaka if they were in the team and playing in the form that they're at right now? No, they wouldn't. And I think that's a big testament to Granit Xhaka more than it is a slight on Tielemans or Neves. But both players have the potential to overtake Xhaka one day. But right now, do we want to sign a player that's not going to give us an immediate upgrade on what we've got? I'm not so sure. Maybe we should be waiting to find a central midfielder that genuinely gives us an upgrade on what we already have. So let's see what happens with that one. Victor Osimhen continues to be linked, and there were reports that Napoli would be wanting upwards of 100 million euros. That is slightly wide of the mark. 80 million euros should be what it would take to get him out of Napoli, which is similar to the fee that they actually paid Lille for him. And that being said, they did send a number of youngsters in the opposite direction in that deal as well. And that is actually a deal that is under investigation at the moment. So there's some things that have gone on behind the scenes, allegedly, with that deal. So we'll have to see. And perhaps that's why Napoli have a certain openness to allowing Osimhen to leave. But Arsenal are very interested in him. There were reports yesterday that Arsenal's representatives have met with the players' entourage about sorting out a deal, and that he would prefer a move to Arsenal over Newcastle, who are the other interested party in the Nigerian striker. And lastly, our headline story continues to be Gabriel Jesus, and that Arsenal would have to pay in the region of 30 million euros if they want to sign him. And that deal also would not need to be supposedly all up front. Manchester City would be open to a staggered deal. I suppose if you're a club with plenty of money, you don't need to be forcing the money to come all at once at the start of a possible deal. So it could be a very, very favourable move that wouldn't even compromise Arsenal's ability to go harder into the market for a number of other players. So that's really exciting stuff to learn that deal could be really quite easy to get completed, and also a deal that wouldn't really damage Arsenal's ability to invest further in other possible targets during this January, during this summer transfer window that we can expect to come very, very soon. In fact, the window will open in June across the UK and then across the whole of the continent in July, but plenty of deals can still happen before. You can do the pre-arranged deals, you can do deals before the window actually opens, and they just become official after the window officially opens. So expect there to be lots of movement, lots of fun and excitement this summer. We'll be covering plenty of strikers, plenty of midfielders, I'm sure too. We'll be doing our tactical breakdowns and breaking down analytically, with the help of some experts, all of the players that Arsenal are officially linked to. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel to get all of that juicy goodness and tactical analysis as we break down all of our targets. I'm looking forward to doing a few more top 10s on the channel, and those ranking videos. If you remember, we did one in January for strikers. It's the, where you fit them into the different categories. I'm sure there's an actual name for it, but yeah, we're going to be doing that, which I look forward to doing very soon, because we're going to be the end of the season is less now than a month away. That's mad. How quickly has this season gone that there's less of a month remaining until it's closed. So, and then it all starts again. And this Arsenal news show becomes the Arsenal transfer show at the end of the season, all the way up until the close of the transfer window. So plenty of excitement to come this summer. Make sure you're part of it, and make sure you're continuing to make this 8 a.m. show part of your morning routine. You get your breakfast, your juice, your coffee, your tea, whatever is your tipple, and you get on the show and listen. Also available on Spotify and iTunes, etc. as well. If you're listening in the car and don't have to see this ugly mug on your screen, you can do it all that way too. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. Let's take a quick break and then go to your questions in the chat box. Let's go. Okay then, let's jump into the chats and see what you guys are saying. Shreyas says, hi Tom, what are your thoughts on Anthony Gordon for cheap if Everton go down? He's a good player, but I don't think he's a player that Arsenal will necessarily be looking at, to be honest. I think he's one of those players that you probably see promoted teams come up for, mid-table established Premier League teams kind of go for. I don't think he's one that will go to Arsenal. I'm not sure he's the one we should go. Tier list, Sartvik. That is what I was talking about a second ago. Yeah, the tier list videos that we have done in the past. I look forward to doing a few more of them this summer. Marcus says, will you be going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? You could see what the Spurs fans think of your wedding cups. I'm probably going to be working the North London derby. I'll be shocked if I'm not, to be honest. So I won't be unless somehow I'm in the press box. But we'll have to wait and see what happens when the rota comes out for May, last one. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Eggshell says, playing Football Manager with TGT show in the background. Perfect combo. Thank you for joining me, mate. Jeremy says, why are so many people so high on Schick? That's me. I'm one of those, Jeremy. That'll be me. His link-up play is very poor. Disagree. He's overperforming wildly. Disagree. And his pressing numbers rank in the bottom 10% of Europe. He doesn't fit the desired profile. Pressing numbers are important, and I do agree with you. They're certainly not up there with, the best pressing numbers. Bottom 10%? Is that true? I can have a quick check on that to check that is indeed correct. But I don't expect it to be very high whatsoever. Let's have a quick check. Bottom 14%, to be fair. So he's pretty darn close. One of the lowest pressers in the game. But to be honest, Schick isn't the style of striker that you have. And that's why you bring in someone like Gabriel Jesus alongside a Schick, who is going to give you those types of pressing and energy numbers. But Schick is there to be a clinical and late blooming forward. I look at him as a player similar to Olivier Giroud, whose career kind of explodes in his mid to late 20s and into his 30s rather than what we expected from him in his early years. But I disagree about his link-up play. I think it's better than you're saying there. And certainly his clinical finishing and his aerial ability are very, very strong. And I think he would flourish in this Arsenal team, actually. Mogul says, Partey seems to struggle to hit the ground running. I don't see a point in rushing him back to play 3 games and mess with Xhaka and Mohamed El Neni's partnership. I think you raise some very solid points. Christian says, would you take Max Aarons as a backup right back when Norwich go down? Not personally. I would keep with what we've got for now and allow the pathway of Brooke Norton-Cuffy to continue because he is going to be some special right back. He's going to be integrated into the team in the pre-season, see how he is, and then a decision will be made about a loan or whether or not he remains with the team for next year. Wes says, what about Ødegaard's position? We have no depth and there are no links for possible players in that position. It's true. We do have Smith Rowe, of course, who can play left wing and as a number 10. No one really linked as kind of that right centre midfield, more free-flowing, creative midfielder. Maybe that's because if he's out, Smith Rowe would come into the number 10 role and we play more 4-2-3-1. But we'll have to wait and see because I imagine we'll sign someone that isn't even linked to us right now, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Malcolm says, who is the immediate upgrade in the midfield? For me, it's Gini Wijnaldum. I think he's a player that is of world-class level at 31 years of age. I think he's not someone that necessarily would block the path of us signing a real quality midfielder if there isn't one available this summer. And that's important. I know there's there's always going to be a big clamour for us to go out and sign a midfielder that is young and prosperous and got filled with potential. But if there isn't one available that genuinely upgrades on what we have, I'd rather go for a more experienced option, someone that can give you an immediate impact for 1 or 2 seasons, and then next summer or January, if there's one becoming available, you can go and get the signing that you need then, instead of wasting, say, £50 million on a Ruben Neves. Not necessarily wasting, but certainly in the context of spending £50 million on a Neves who isn't necessarily going to give you more than what you've got already at the club, if that makes sense. So I'd rather go for the other one is Ilkay Gundogan, but I don't think Manchester City would let him leave, to be fair. And Constantine says, how many players Arsenal should sign this summer to be strong enough for the Champions League next season? I think 5. I think we should be looking at 5 players, 2 forwards, a wide forward, a central midfielder, and a versatile fullback that can replace either Cedric and the other side. Versatile fullback in the sense that they could, like a Joachim Mahler or a Pedro Porro, these types of players that can play on either side, and then you move on Cedric or Tavares. I think one of those could be moved on. If not Tavares, I think would be the less likely to move on. Cedric a lot more so. Rohit says, what about a cheeky bid for Dewsbury Hall if we get Champions League? Perhaps that is someone that we could look to. Very exciting young player, but again, doesn't really upgrade on what we've already got. Ollie says, Tom, do you think we should try to pass it around the back and then score in the last minute so every game is 1-0? It works on FIFA. It works on FIFA for a reason, because FIFA is nothing like real life. No, we shouldn't. We should try and be proactive and attack and hit on the counter when need be and stay defensively solid. No, passing around at the back is not a realistic tactic in the world of football because there's so much more human error involved than there is on FIFA. Stevie says, Tom, would you consider Rafinha and Richarlison? I would consider Rafinha, but not Richarlison. Rafinha, I think, is of a very good Premier League standard. Richarlison, not worth the money that he would cost to bring in. Triggy says, which one would you sign? Prime Jesus or Prime Rashford? Really good question. Prime Rashford is someone that has, since the age of 20, scored over 100. He's got over 100 Premier League contributions, I think, or something across all competitions. He's definitely got over 100 goals in those 3 or 4 years. So there's an argument to say that you would bring in Prime Rashford, but the thing is, I don't think he necessarily suits Arsenal as well as what Jesus suits Arsenal. I think Jesus actually suits what Arsenal and Arteta is trying to do a lot more than Rashford. So I think I would actually lean towards Jesus in terms of an option for a forward player because of what he brings to the team and it fitting more seamlessly in with what we already have. John says, this summer, Jesus, Sterling and De Bruyne, maybe they'll throw Pepe in as well. Wilson says, why on earth does Bailey predict that Arsenal will draw with Everton? Come on, man. Yeah, Bailey's very grounded. He doesn't want to get his expectations up, so I can respect that. Marcus says, great Arsenal way prediction show, but Bailey, 8 points, more negative than me. How many more points would you predict from our last five games? I think we're going to beat West Ham. I think we're going to beat Leeds, and I think we're going to beat Spurs. I think we're going to get into the Champions League at Spurs. That's my prediction. I hope I'm right. I predict a win at Chelsea, so I've got a decent record for this. Not in the Arsenal way, but the week of Chelsea, I predicted a win against them. So let's wait and see. Let's go to. Oh, hold on, my phone's ringing. Give me 2 seconds as we have a short break. Yep. So, Jesus is coming. Yeah? Sweet. All right. Oh, no, I'm on the stream. Hold on. You didn't hear that. Matt G says, say we sign 6 players this summer. How many, if any, would you like to already be playing in the Premier League? I think 2 of them is what you've got to target. I think if we can get in 2 Premier League ready players all the time, that's a really good way to progress the squads, bring in 2 players that are already accustomed to the Premier League, and that's a really solid move. Of course, we might get the squad to a stage where we don't actually have to worry about it, but we'll have to wait and see. PJT says, with the wages reportedly saved in the past few windows, potential player sales and inclusion of potential European revenue, how much higher do you think Arsenal's spending may hit in the summer? Oh, it's a really good question, actually, PJT. I think spending may go similar to what we did last year, because I think that whilst it won't be spread across as many players as evenly, I think you'll see 2 players cost significantly more than the others, and the others might be more depth signings or potential signings or free signings. Dybala, for instance, is one I talk about a lot because he's going to be a free deal, and if Arsenal can get that done, that'd be a really sweet move for them on a free one, even though he costs significantly more wages. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's go to Amara says, anyone who should be looking at the Championship, or who will you be hesitant even if they have Premier League experience? A lot of people are going to start bringing up the name Alexander Mitrovic after he reached 40-plus league goals this season. I don't think that's one we should go for. I think, he's, if anything, Fulham should be doing everything they can to keep hold of him. He'll be the best chance they've got of staying up next season. But we know from players that come up from the Championship to the Premier League that it doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. Sometimes we see some really, really good moves. But I don't think that's necessarily would be one. I might be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. But I think he's one of those players that we're in that little grey area, the Norwich area, if you like. Too good for the Championship, not necessarily good enough for the Premier League. We'll have to wait and see. What are you talking about, acting? I don't know what you're talking about. The Stocks guy says, you once said no to Firmino. Can you see similarities with him and Jesus? I said no to Firmino because I don't think he's got the dynamism that Jesus has got. Jesus has got a hell of a lot more energy about him, a lot more pressing about his game. He's a lot more of a number 9 than Firmino is when he plays at striker. So that's why I would say no to Firmino and yes to Jesus. I don't see as many similarities between the two as maybe you do just, off a glance between them. I think they are quite different in terms of their style. Jesus isn't a false 9, whereas Firmino certainly I look towards more as a false 9. Priyank says, Tom, I just want Gnabry as a striker and one backup tall striker. What do you think? Recently, many homecomings are not successful. I would like to see the contrast in options at the top. I think if we go for a Jesus or a Gnabry, the other striker, I think, is much better to be more of a characteristically target man style to give us a different style of option. I think that's definitely something that we should look to have. But I'm not sure if it's something that we will do, because I think that we're being linked to a lot of players that are quite diminutive and small. Jesus, Joao Felix, Lautaro Martinez, Jonathan David, Paulo Dybala. These are all players that are quite small. Whereas the players like Patrick Schick, we're not really that strongly linked to him. Tammy Abraham is a bit taller, but aerially needs to improve. The same can be said for Victor Osimhen. Again, whilst quite rapid, and yes, he's a bit taller, certainly a lot taller than Gabriel Jesus, isn't known for being your aerial target man style, more your Aubameyang play off the last man, finisher in the box style forward. So we aren't necessarily being linked heavily to those. I don't want to call them plan B, because I think Schick and those style of players are better than what you would describe as a plan B, but certainly more physical, aerially dominant presence. We're not being linked to as strongly to those types of players. Basuma, Phillips, Jesus, David in, plus recoup the fringe players, says the Godfather. Tavares, great athlete, but terrifying defensively at the moment. Great show. Top 4, please, please, please. Thank you. Really appreciate the kind comment. I think if that was the window that we had, it would be a very, very positive window. I think we do need some more fringe replacements, though, that's for sure. Shruti, Instagram is on the bottom of the screen, I'm pretty sure. It's just the Gooner Talk. You can find us there. PJT says, good answer. Really looking forward to your coverage again over the summer. Regarding the magic number of signings, I'd say 5 to 6 personally. So, that's what I think is probably the right area of teams. So we'll have to wait and see. Samuel says, Tom, does it bother you that Tielemans gets caught ball watching too often? Yes, it does. It does bother me. This season he's been ball watching a hell of a lot more than he should have done. But yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. Tulip says, after that performance, Al Pacino wants to know your location, Tom. I don't know what you're talking about, guys. I really, really don't know what you're talking about. How tall am I? Says Moaz, 6'3". If you want proof, ask anyone that went to the Hippodrome, because I am. I am that tall. I don't know why people thought I was short for some reason. People used to watch those saying, you're not 6 foot, and then they meet me in real life and they're like, oh, bloody hell. Something says, I might be the first one to think about this, but should we do a Sol Campbell and sign Harry Kane? Look, if you could sign Harry Kane, yeah, absolutely. It won't happen, but yes, absolutely. Take him away from Spurs. It'd be hilarious. And he's one of the best strikers around. I hate being complimentary as Spurs players, but if you said that we could sign Son or Kane, who's turning that down? Who's turning that chance down? Elite says Firmino is the highest goal scorer and 15 is not good enough. Fair enough. I think Firmino's a very good player. I just don't think he's the right age profile anymore for Arsenal. What do you think of Aouar? He is the world-class. Him and Partey and Ødegaard would be actually world-class. I'm not a big fan of Aouar 10K, I'm afraid. I'm just not a fan of his. I think that he's a player that when Lyon play bad, he's more of a passenger. He's not the type to take the game by the scruff of the neck and drag Lyon to a victory and lift up all of the players around him. He's a bit of a luxury player. He's someone that when the team's playing well, he plays well. And, it makes everyone better when they're playing well. But if everyone's playing badly, his level drops in the same kind of way. And I don't want a character like that, to be fair. Pepe says, do you think we can still... I don't know who that is. I have no idea who that is. Let's have a quick check. What I like to do is I often like to type these in beforehand so I can get a good idea. Jezuran Rak-Saki, who I've never heard of before, 19-year-old, left winger, Crystal Palace. Used to play in Chelsea's youth team, unsurprisingly. 15 goals and 4 assists in 23 under-23s games this season. He's got 1 Premier League appearance coming off the bench for 13 minutes as well. Interesting talent. Know nothing about him, but seems quite the player. So good spot, Pepe. Good spot indeed. But I've not heard anything about him personally, so certainly one to check. JM says, how dare you still use Spotify after Ek dropped us? It's just one of the platforms you have to put your stuff on. It's nothing to do with loyalty. Ollie says, he's 4 for 8. I've met him. Amos says, hello, streaming live from Kenya. The best reward Arsenal can give me this season is us qualifying for the Champions League and then sign Darwin Nunez. Amos, I hope your dreams come true, mate, because it would certainly make me happy as well. Answer says, he's matured, Tom. Have you watched him recently? I mean, I've watched him in the European games. I can't say that I was wildly impressed, to be fair. He was okay in the game in the first leg against West Ham. Second leg, no, pretty much absent, was taken off because they weren't playing well. And Awar didn't play well because Leon weren't playing well. So not for me. Just not the level that I would like to see come in yet. Absolutely not. Just in a really silly, not silly, it's a good question, but I don't know why it was asked. Gunny says, good morning, Tom. Do you always have to work on match days, or do you think there is a chance for an Arsenal watch-along one day? I usually do watch-alongs during pre-season. That's the only time I do them. I am working most of the match days, unfortunately. I did the blog for the Man United game, so I'm usually pretty tied up for those. I don't do them because look, a lot of people do watch-alongs. Like, you can watch a lot of people do watch-alongs, and to be honest, there's part of me that's like, the game's a little bit sacred to me. I used to do watch-alongs with Hugh Izzy last season when I wasn't working the match days, and I just don't think I'd do them on this channel. But as I say, I've done them during pre-season because it's more light-hearted and it's just interesting watching the games. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that this year because the games are being played in America, but there will be an Emirates Cup this year, but only across one day. So maybe we'll do the watch-alongs during the pre-season again. But yeah, I'm not that keen. I'm not keen on doing it because I'm so emotional during games. I'm not like I am on stream. That said, if you watch the Chelsea show reaction, if we win games, I'm pretty much like that for most of the game, but I'm a nervous wreck most of the time, so I don't do them. Jeff, thank you so much, mate, for the donation. That's really, really kind of you, and appreciate the support to the channel. That's really, really kind of you. Actually, we've had an influx of recent members on the channel that don't pop up during the shows, so I can't give them credit, and I did want to give them a shout out. So thank you to everybody that did that has signed up recently. I can actually have a quick check in the last week. A big shout out to Tulip, the Onyx Lens, Nucrasis, Stephen, Juno, Khalil, Ashwin Watkins, who's rejoined as well. Mike Bell, thank you for joining up, mate. Mike Freeman rejoined as an ambassador too, and Nathan, thank you so much, guys, for helping out and supporting the channel. Absolute legends. Really appreciate your time. Iqbal says, Tom, have you heard about Nunez's injury woes? How injured has Darwin Nunez been at Benfica? We can do a quick check on his injury record. Let's do that now. He has missed one game this season, so not exactly what I describe as injury prone. Last season, he had a knee issue. He missed 6 games, and a hamstring injury, which he missed 3 games. But again, that's just the 9 that he missed because of injury. And one of them was because of a surgery in May, which spread across pre-season. So I don't think he's a player that I would worry about from an injury perspective. To be honest, Iqbal, he's not someone that I would be worried about at all. Bulgarian Gooner says, no disrespect to those who do it, but why would I watch people watching a game than the game itself? People enjoy the reactions, Bulgarian Gooner, that's why. Do you like, people get so frustrated with commentary on different media outlets because they're just not fans of it. So they would rather see passionate Arsenal supporters, I suppose, watch the game. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, Hugh did a fantastic watch-along. He still does fantastic watch-alongs this season. So I can understand what people do. You get the energy, the entertainment's there. So, yeah, I think that's why. Mitra says, morning, Tom. You look a lot more trim. Haven't watched for a while. Good luck with the wedding. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. There's been, to be honest, minimal effort in trying to get fitter for the wedding and a little bit more in shape. Maybe it's just because I had a shave this morning. That's probably the reason why. But yeah, no, thank you. And I had a lot of kind comments at the live show the other day, but thank you for that. Jeremy, thank you so much as well for becoming a member. That's really, really kind of you. Welcome to the crew, and I'm sure that the TG10 members in the chat box will welcome you along. What I realised we didn't do is, if you are a member, you actually get access to the members emojis in the chat box as well. I don't really use them enough. I don't prompt you enough to use them. And I made the mistake after the Man United game of not telling people to use the Xhaka boom emoji. How on earth I forgot not to get people to use the Xhaka boom emoji is mad. So if you are a member and you are in the chat box right now, we need to make up for lost time. So let's get some Xhaka boom emojis going in the chat box, because they were criminally underused during that game. Yeah, Team Cedric, Dan, was not the right one. The Cedric one was not what I said. Will says, would you take Cucurella? Cucurella is, what, do you say his name twice? If you say it three times, does he appear in a mirror? Is that what happens? Cucurella is a fantastic talent. Really like him. Lots of potential still very young in his early 20s. I would have signed him when he left Getafe. I would have signed him when he left Eibar. I would have signed him from the Barcelona Academy. I've talked about Cucurella a lot. I like him. I would have had him over Tavares. Yes, absolutely. He says, I watch Curtis's watch-alongs. Yeah, Curtis does a really good watch-along. I don't always agree with what Curtis says, but yeah, Curtis does a great one as well. Lots for you to check out, that's for sure. Let's have you seen Detectorists show? No, I haven't. I don't even know who that is. Send me a link to their channel, Ollie. I've not seen who they are. I'm laughing now. Xhaka's gone a bit mad in the chat box now, to be fair. Manu says, what will happen to Lokonga and Aziz next season? Lokonga, I think, will stay. I think Aziz will go on loan. Aziz has a big season next year. Aziz has got a little bit of a make or break season, really. I mean, he needs to go on loan to a club where he can play every week and get enough time, because at the moment that's not happening. So there you go. Stevie says, Tom, will it be off for David if we brought Jesus? No, I don't actually think it would be, Stevie. I know what you're thinking, because they're quite similar in terms of their profile, if you like. They're quite similar in that sense. So when you consider the fact that they're players that are diminutive, pressing, energy, can play off of another striker, I can see where you're coming from. But actually, I think that Arteta likes those type of players so much that if he could sign two, I think that he probably would. Carl, thank you so much for joining up with the crew. Again, I'm sure the chat box will welcome you to the TGT family. If you are, of course, not just Carl, but also to Jeremy who signed up, you are expert members or TGT ambassadors, you can join our Discord server. I'll make sure to put a new link in the community tab after today's show. Let's go to Dan says, I'd rather watch paint dry than a watch along. It's not for everyone, and that's absolutely fine. We've all got different likes and interests and preferences. So if you don't like watch alongs and prefer to watch the game, do that. That's what I do. I really enjoyed doing the watch alongs with you when I had the time to do it, and I wasn't have my commitments with work now. But you know, if you don't like them, don't watch them. But what I would say is, like Mysterious Billionaire points out, Goldridge's watch-alongs are hilarious. It's like if you haven't seen his reaction to us going 1-0 up, please do. I can't repeat it because we try not to swear on the channel, but it is very amusing, very, very amusing indeed. Thanks, Carl. Much love. Stephen, welcome, Carl. Absolutely welcome indeed. Everybody get welcoming Carl and Jeremy as well. Priyank says, Tom, whenever Lokonga plays, I think he has done well, but I don't know why we can't control the midfield the same way as with El Neni. It's because they're different types of players, Priyank. They're very different types of midfielders. If you actually listen to a lot of interviews that Lokonga has done, he likes to be more progressive. He likes to be a little bit more adventurous. He's better dribbling with the ball. He wants to progress the play. El Neni's a lot more competent to be disciplined and do what we would sometimes maybe inaccurately call the dirty work of the game and just sit and pass safely and comfortably and calmly. And that's fine. I think they could play together quite well if Xhaka wasn't necessarily available and Lokonga could play in the role that Xhaka's currently playing in. We've got scope to do that. We've got chances hopefully next season with European football to do that. Let's wait and see what happens. But I think Lokonga's got a future at Arsenal. And I think that it's going to be an exciting talent. His personality is absolutely perfect, that's for sure. Fantastic stuff. What is the blue emoji? The blue emoji is the flying fish, because the flying fish gang is what these mental guys came up with for some reason. It spawned in some random post-match show when people were discussing. It was like someone dived for a diving header, I think it was, and someone said they dived like a flying fish. And someone said fish can't fly, which I agree with. And then it just became a big thing for TGT that we've now got the flying fish gang. It's just our mascot. I don't know why. It's just the most random mascot ever, but That's, with the flying fish gang. Fish can't fly. Just going to put that out there, and no one can tell me they can. You do get flying fish, but they cannot fly. They fall with style, like Toy Story. That's what they do. It's as simple as that. PJT says, not complaining about watch-alongs. How I found the channel was through your work with you. You guys got me through grim stretches last season. The passion you brought to each game was always brilliant. Yeah, as I said, I really enjoyed doing with you. Hopefully Hugh will be back on the channel very soon. And he's been doing great work. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out this season because I got my new job, so I couldn't do them. But yeah, I said I've worked with you years and years ago. We used to do TalkSport together going up to the Russian World Cup in 2018. That was great. And it was a lot of fun. So yeah, Hugh's always great. Do go check out if you're not subscribed already. Make sure, obviously you're subscribed, but go and subscribe because it's fantastic. Jeff says, how does one join as a member? If you go into the description and the link tree, if you click the link tree, it will take you to a separate page. Alternatively, you can just type in Linktree, which is linktr.ee/the Gooner Talk, and should take you to the page. And then there's a separate link that will take you into memberships. And then that will give you access to the Discord server once you become an expert member or a TGT ambassador. Freddie, not work for, freelance work for. So when I was scrambling away, trying to, as you do in football journalism and taking every opportunity that you can, me and Hugh Hugh had a show leading up to the 2018 World Cup, and he very kindly invited me on to chat football and chat about it. We used to do games. Jeremy Eliadier came on one show. That was an interesting story. I wasn't expecting him to be there, and turned up to the studio, walked in, and Jeremy Eliadier is sitting there, and I'm like, he looks really familiar. I'm sure I know him from somewhere. And then the next thing I know, I'm playing a World Cup prediction game with Jeremy Eliadier live on air. So it's a funny life. It's funny how things go, but very, very much so. As I say, Freddie, I don't always agree with a lot, and I criticise a lot, and I think that's the thing that you have to be open about. And I respect employers that allow you to criticise. Criticism is really important, really important. But what I think is that there is a lot of criticism of Arsenal that I criticise that's overly critical and kind of, it creates spontaneous debate that's not necessarily needed. But then you have people like Laura Woods on there who's fantastic, and really fights Arsenal's corner. So, I think Darren Bent, despite being an ex-Spurs player, is an Arsenal fan. He fights Arsenal's corner a fair amount. Perry Groves also fights Arsenal's corner. There are, plenty of people on there also that do back. But I do criticise the spontaneity of some of the criticism that Arsenal get wrongly. But you also have Harry Symeou. Harry does fantastic work over on TalkSport. So it's I try to look at individuals rather than branding everything. And I think that's certainly one that you should. You should look towards the individuals rather than the platform, because I think there are individuals there that are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So there you go. Let's scroll up. In fact, how long are we going for? Nearly 40 minutes. All right, I'll take a couple more questions, then we'll wrap up. Raj says, should we prioritise another left-back in the summer given Tierney's injury record and Tavares being naive? I don't think it's a priority, but I don't think it's something that we should rule out, Raj. I think if Real Madrid came in with £50 million for Kieran Tierney and we could bring in someone as good as a backup, say a Grimaldo from Benfica, or who else? Who's the other one? Raum from Hoffenheim, very interesting player, German international. There are options. There are options out there that we could go for. I'm sure there's one in the Premier League as well that is completely slipping my mind for some really frustrating reason. I like Timothy Castagna. I think he's someone that would be really versatile and good if we could go get him from Leicester. I think he wouldn't cost necessarily loads. He didn't cost them loads, and they're in a position where if we got Champions League football, maybe we could convince Timothy Castagna to join. So I think there are options for Arsenal out there. That's for sure. How can you join the Discords? If you go into the YouTube homepage, there should be a link. So if you go onto the Gooner Talks YouTube homepage, there's tabs at the top of it where it says home and videos and playlists, and then the next one is community. And in that community tab, there should be a link if you scroll down to find the Discords. If it's run out, message me or leave a comment on one of the community tab pages, and you should then be able to access it. It's only for expert members and TGT ambassadors, though. Anyway, I can see people dropping off like flies. So let's wrap things up there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it and you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I've seen there's really been loads of new people joining up with the channel and joining the TGT family. Thank you so much for the support. We've just hit 31,000 subs. We're on our way already to 32,000. And the transfer window is usually when things pop off a lot on the channel. So I'm looking forward to seeing what content we can come up with throughout the summer. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. But first, we've got a small matter of qualifying for the Champions League. So let's see how that goes. Keep our fingers crossed. I'll be back a little bit later on today. Make sure you go and watch the Arsenal Lounge. Last night, I joined Mo and Shahina Lev over on their channel. So we had a really good chat about the Chelsea United game and the transfer window plus Arteta. So make sure you go and give that a watch and go and watch the Arsenal Way at 10 a.m. as well. I'm not on there this morning, but it's no excuse for you not to go and tune in. Make sure you give it all the support you can, and I will see you a little bit later. Have a great day, and as always, up the Arsenal.